Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Here in this auspicious day, every day is made an auspicious day by hearing Srila Prabhupada's books and the Brhad Bhagavatamrta every day. We got a little report from Mayapur Shashi Prabhu that we now have 902 videos on the YouTube channel of the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, which is, when I heard it, the number, it was amazing. 3 years later, we have 902. The whole Bhagavatam, the whole Chaitanya, the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Gita, and now coming to the end of the Brhad Bhagavatamrta. It's all Srila Prabhupada's mercy, Hare Krishna, and the mercy of all of you. Srimad Bhagavatamrta Stotram by Srila Sanatana Goswami, glorifying the Srimad Bhagavatam, the basis of the Brhad Bhagavatamrta. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha, Sarva Vedaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja, Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths. You are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad Bhagavata Prabho, Kalidwan Dotita Ditya, Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshakshadayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who were supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin, Madguro Man Mahadana, Manistadaka Mad Bhagya, Mad Anandana Mostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadutadayin, atini chutata kara, hanamun chagadachin mam, premna rit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, now Gopakumar has become Sarup, and he has entered into the pastimes of Krishna. And he's observing these wonderful things, and not just observing, but participating. Krishna has finally escaped the loving bonds of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda and the gopis, who were keeping him from going out into the forest. And now he is out in the forest, playing with the cowherd boys, and cows, and calves. Beginning with text 220, chapter 6, part 2 of Brhad Bhagavatamrta. One day, while playing on the shore of the Yamuna, Lord Krishna, Nandana, heard that Kaliya had come back to his lake. Commentary. The lake in which Kaliya once stayed continued to be known as Kaliya Radha, Kaliya's lake, even after his expulsion from Braja. Text 221. Krishna rushed there alone, swiftly climbed a nipa tree, and dived into the lake, splashing water onto the shore. Commentary. Even Krishna thought it wise not to bring his companions with him to Kaliya's lake, which had become poisoned again. He was also concerned that they might try to stop him from jumping into the lake. The vigorous way Krishna dived in is described in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:16-7. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead landed in the serpent's lake, the snakes there became extremely agitated and began breathing heavily, further polluting it with volumes of poison. The force of the Lord's entrance into the lake made it overflow on all sides, and poisonous, fearsome waves flooded the surrounding lands up to a distance of 100 bow lengths. This is not at all amazing, however, for the Supreme Lord possesses infinite strength. Text 222. Krishna frolicked in the water, enjoying the sport of swimming back and forth and making all sorts of loud noises. But then he drew near the cruel Kaliya and out of curiosity allowed himself to be enveloped in the serpent's coils. Commentary. When Krishna played in the water, the noise he created was not ordinary. It sounded like very pleasing music. Text 223. When Krishna's companions, the cowherd boys, saw that for no good reason he was gone, they all became as if struck down by death. In great anxiety to find him, they followed his footprints to the lake. Commentary. At first, the cowherd boys had no idea where Krishna might have gone, and they didn't know what to do. But soon they noticed footprints leading out of the village. Those footprints could not have been those of anyone but Krishna, because they had special marks, such as a flag and an elephant goad. 224. These many young friends were the same boys who, losing sight of Krishna on the forest paths but for a moment, would lose their will to live, and now, when they saw him motionless, they all fainted. Commentary. The footprints led the boys to the lake, but there they saw Krishna immobilized and wrapped in the serpent's coils. When Krishna and the boys had been on excursions in the forest, and Krishna had passed for even a moment behind a tree, and the boys couldn't see him, the boys would lose all enthusiasm for living. And now to see Kaliya about to kill Krishna filled them with dread. Text 225. All the village animals, the cows, the bulls, the calves, and also the animals of the forest, stood on the shore, eyes fixed on Krishna's face, and their cries made a great roar of suffering. 226. Birds, exhausted from loudly crying, flew precipitously into the lake. Trees and plants suddenly dried up, and many terrible, inauspicious omens appeared. Commentary. All creatures, including the birds and plants, agonized over Krishna's predicament. They were all on the verge of death. The earth trembled amidst other portenses, omens. In the Vrindavan area there then arose all three types of fearful omens, those on the earth, those in the sky, and those in the bodies of living creatures, which announced imminent danger. Bhagavatam 10:16-12, text 227. Inspired by Lord Krishna from within, one old man went running into the cowherd village. He wept and made dreadful cries of alas, alas, and told the cowherds what was happening. Commentary. Sri Nanda and the other cowherds, having seen the bad omens and received no news about Krishna, were about to die from anxiety. To relieve their suffering, Krishna telepathically inspired an old cowherd to go tell them of the situation. Had Krishna not ordered him in that way, the old man would not have had the strength to run back to Braja. Krishna is Prabhu, the Lord, so he can empower anyone to do anything. He made an old person his messenger because an elder's words are less likely to interfere with anyone's intimate rasa and more likely to be trusted. Actually, the desperation the Brajavasis felt over seeing evil omens and having no news about Krishna was designed to increase their special love for him. Surely they would come quickly to Kaliya's lake when they learned he was there. 228. The people of the cowherd village had already noticed many frightening omens. Krishna was the source of Braja's good fortune, and the cowherds, frantic with concern for him, had already started out to seek him. Commentary. The Brajavasis knew that as long as Krishna was safe, nothing bad would ever happen. The evil portents might therefore indicate that Krishna was in great danger. With this terrible thought in mind, they all went at once to look for him. They were already outside the village when the old messenger met them. Text 229. The added force of the old man's report, spoken with a voice choking in his throat, struck them suddenly like a bolt of lightning. Commentary. The shock of hearing that Kaliya had returned and was again holding Krishna in his coils was unbearable. Text 230. Balarama, who was sitting in his house, tried to console the people of Braja, who were running forward like living corpses. "This can't be true," he cried out. "This can't be true." Text 231. Balarama somehow told his mother, Rohini, of the news, got her to stay back to watch the house, and ran to catch up with those who had left. Commentary. Knowing the power of his younger brother, Krishna, Balarama couldn't believe that Kaliya had defeated him. Balarama came out of the house and ran into the street, spontaneously shouting, "This can't be true." Seeing the Brajbasis hurrying on their way to join the search for Krishna, Balaram tried to calm them, and he had to speak to his mother before he left, so he was one of the last to arrive on the scene. 232. He soon reached the lake. Seeing his younger brother in such a state, he couldn't keep his gravity and wept in the distress of love. Text 233. As he lamented in ways that would shatter logs and stones, suddenly he fainted, just like Yashoda and Nanda. Commentary. In the bewildering commotion, Yashoda and Nanda had already fainted and fallen to the ground. Text 234. Then all living beings there made a great and fearful cry, full of agony, that made the whole universe cry in pain. Awakened by that tumult, Balaram, the most determined of heroes, with great effort steadied himself. Text 236. A moment later, Krishna's parents again became conscious. Seeing their son in such a plight, they cried loudly and rushed to enter the lake. But powerful Sri Balaram held them back with the strength of his arms. Commentary. It had taken all of Lord Balaram's mental strength to convince his mother to stay home, and now it took all of his physical strength to restrain Nanda and Yashoda. Text 237. Seeing everyone unconscious on the ground as if dead, Balaram was overcome with sorrow. In a voice choked with emotion, he called out to Krishna. Sri Baladev said, "These are not the attendants who live with you in Vaikuntha. They are not the forest monkeys. They are not the Yadavas. These are your devotees of Goloka, who have no life other than you. They are dying, my Lord, and there is nothing I can do to save them. Commentary. Here, Balaram reminds Krishna that the Goloka devotees are different from Krishna's other eternal associates, his Vaikuntha Parshads, his monkey soldiers of Ayodhya like Hanuman, and the Yadus of Dwarka like Uddhava. More than all these other devotees, the Goloka-vasis are exclusively dependent on Krishna. The Lord's devotees in Vaikuntha, Ayodhya, and Dwarka, being always aware of Krishna's omnipotence, managed to tolerate separation from him, and so they could have responded favorably to Balaram's consoling words. But the hearts of these Goloka-vasis, under the intolerable weight of their prema, have lost all equilibrium. The Goloka-vasis cannot accurately estimate Krishna's power, so they are convinced that Kaliya is about to finish him. If Krishna himself does not act soon to relieve them, surely they will die. Text 239. O merciful Krishna, please give up this game before these devotees die. Otherwise, O Krishna, sole friend of the cowherds, your gentle heart will come to grief. Commentary. Krishna is the reservoir of all rasas, and so he feels pathos, karuna ras. But although he enjoys the sport of pretending to be lifeless, his devotees are driven to desperation by it. If he doesn't stop this sport, he will be the last one to lament when all his devotees have died. Lord Balaram is playing on Krishna's emotions because he knows that Krishna cannot tolerate seeing his devotees suffer. 240. Sri Swarup said, the gopis cried and lamented in so many ways, their limbs in terrible pain, their hearts shattered by sorrow. They fainted and fainted, and as if to go to the other side of the Lord, to the side of their Lord, they tried to enter the lake. Commentary. On the way to the lake, the gopis repeatedly fainted at the mere thought of Krishna's distress, and so they arrived last. Their hair scattered, and their broken bangles and other ornaments scratched to their arms. They tried to enter the lake as if to join Krishna, but the real purpose was to drown themselves. Someone might question, how could these gopis, who were worshipped by the wisest scholars in creation, be so ignorant of the Supreme Lord's power? The answer is that their minds were distracted by sorrow. It is unreasonable to think that the exalted gopis cannot suffer sorrow. In fact, they simply cannot bear to be apart from Krishna, even for a moment. Text 241. Suddenly the Lord stopped his self-invented sport and freed himself from the grip of Kaliya's coils. He climbed up on the serpent's thousands of upraised, outspread hoods and extended his lotus arms. Commentary. To save the gopis from despair, Krishna extracted himself from the clutches of Kaliya's embrace before the girls could reach the water. He jumped up onto Kaliya's uncountable hoods and spread his arms to lift the gopis up to be with him. Even though the gopis were out of arm's reach, he is Prabhu, and he can do anything he wants. He is never restricted by the laws of nature. Text 242. Taking hold of all his beloved gopis at once, Krishna briskly raised them onto the hoods of the snake. Those hoods, delightfully swaying back and forth, appeared like rows of jeweled platforms, creating a most impressive sight. Text 243. Krishna artfully danced with the gopis on those most amazing stages, accompanied by many celestial singers and musicians. Thus, Lord Krishna, the source of all amusement, enjoyed his rasa dance pastime. Commentary. Never before had anyone seen such stages for dancing as these. To complement the festivities, many demigods appeared in the sky overhead, singing and playing musical instruments. In this atmosphere, Krishna and the gopis fully enjoyed their dancing. The entire spectacle was created by the energies of Krishna, who is Kautukarnava, the source of all entertainment. Sri Nanda and the other older cowherds, slow to recover from their deep shock, did not witness this rasa dance. Text 244. Nanda and the others on the shore, brought back to consciousness by Balaram, gazed at Krishna with delight and surprise. Commentary. Even though Krishna was saved, the older cowherds were still wary of what else Kaliya might do. Having thus subdued the king of snakes, Krishna, grinning, seized the shawls of the serpent's wives, the Nagapatnis, who were offering him prayers. From these garments he made a long rein, and with his left hand playfully pierced and threaded Kaliya's nose. 247. Mounting the serpent like a horse, Krishna toughly drove him forward, all the while with his right hand happily playing the flute. 248. From time to time, Krishna forcefully urged Kaliya on with the flute as if it were a whip. Thus he showered great mercy on Kaliya by making the serpent his carrier. Commentary. Having to carry Krishna like a horse is hardly a degrading punishment. Only rare souls like Garuda can have the honor of being Krishna's, the Supreme Lord's, carriers. As the Nagnapatni stated in the prayers to Krishna in the 10th canto, 10:16-34. What you have done here is actually mercy for us, since the punishment you give to the wicked certainly drives away all their contamination. Indeed, because this conditioned soul, our husband, is so sinful that he has assumed the body of a serpent, your anger toward him is obviously to be understood as your mercy. Text 249. The Nagapatnis offered Krishna clothing, fragrant paste, flower garlands, and priceless jeweled ornaments, and Krishna placed these on the serpent's hoods. 250. Then, with the Padma, Utpala, and other lotus flowers whose wives had brought to offer him from the Yamuna, those wives had brought to offer him from the Yamuna, and with the same ornaments he had already put on Kaliya, Krishna decorated the gopis and himself. Commentary. When the Nagapatnis presented ornaments to Krishna, he did not immediately put them on his own body. First he placed them on Kaliya's hoods, and then, while he and the gopis were all still standing on the hoods, he decorated the gopis and himself. 251. While the king of serpents, with his countless mouths, recited prayers to Krishna, Krishna emerged from the lake, making all his friends and family dance with joy. Commentary. With so many mouths, Kaliya could nicely offer prayers. In this way he was blessed by Krishna to become like Ananta Shesha. 252. Together with the troop of young cowherd girls, most amazing Krishna dismounted Kaliya. The serpent was filled with happiness, for he had obtained great favors and benedictions difficult even for Garuda to achieve. Commentary. Kaliya had good reason to be satisfied, for his heads had been graced by the presence of Krishna and the gopis, and Krishna offered him other benedictions, including the boon that Kaliya's hoods would always bear the auspicious marks of Krishna's feet. Krishna is the most amazing person because he shows such kindness even to wicked creatures like Kaliya. 253. Krishna was drenched by a flood of joyful tears from the eyes of Nanda and the others, who absorbed themselves in worshipping and embracing him again and again. Krishna then mercifully gave the king of serpents some instructions and exiled him from the lake. Commentary. Krishna's command is recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:16, 60, and 61. O serpent, you may not remain here any longer. Go back to the ocean immediately, accompanied by your retinue of children, wives, other relatives, and friends. Let this river be enjoyed by the cows and humans. If a mortal being attentively remembers my command to you to leave Vrindavan and go to the ocean and narrates this account at sunrise and sunset, he will never be afraid of you. Text 254. Out of sheer spontaneous joy, the throng of cowherd men and women celebrated a charming festival of music, song, and other expressions of gaiety. Completely satisfied, Krishna returned to his village. 255. Once, the two great demons, Keshi and Arishta, came to Braja. They were favorite servants of wicked Kamsa, visible manifestations of his life air. Text 256. The first of these two assumed the form of a huge horse, and the other a bull. They terrified the cowherds, trampling the land of Gokula. 257. Both at once, they entered the cowherd village, their vast bodies touching the sky, their roars throwing everyone to the ground. Commentary. The pastime of subduing Kaliya involved the combined rasas of pathos and heroism, but the next pastime recounted is one of pure heroism, Vira rasa. In this instance, the two famous demons, Keshi and Arishta, friends of Kamsa, arrived in Braja at the same time. Assuming animal bodies, abnormally large, they terrified the cowherd village and harassed the cows, trampling them with heavy feet. Srila Sanatana Goswami says the demons harassed Gokula. He uses this word to mean both the cowherd village and the herds of cows. Text 258. Though Krishna's frightened loved ones tried to stop Krishna, pulling him back with all their might, Krishna reassured them. Showing the courage of a hero, he slapped his arm with his hand and went forward to confront the demons. Commentary. Frightened by this monstrous horse and bull, the men and women of the cowherd community wanted to prevent Krishna from going near the demons. 259. Keshi, running very fast, appeared before Krishna first, and Krishna, with a kick, tossed him far away. Krishna next found Arishta the bull, pierced a hole in his nose, tied him up, and brought him before Lord Shiva, Gopishwar. Commentary. Since horses generally travel faster than bulls, Krishna first encountered Keshi. Krishna kicked the horse demon so far away that he was unlikely ever to come back. Krishna then subdued Arishta and offered him to Sri Gopishwar, the famous Shivalinga, of the Vrindavan forest, to remain sitting before Gopishwar Mahadev, tied up for safekeeping as Lord Gopishwar's carrier, so that Arishta would not be free to wander about and cause more trouble. Text 60. Then Keshi the horse returned, but powerful Krishna, whose valor never falters, jumped up and forcibly mounted him. Training him to move here and there, Krishna splendidly displayed his own prowess of taming Keshi completely. Commentary. How could Krishna have brought Arishta to Gopishwar and then return so quickly to meet Krishna? Krishna is Amanda Vikrama, anything but slow. His abilities have no limit. Text 261. Keshi had thousands of friends, also mount the horse, and with his swift hand made the horse jump in many ways, allowing these friends to roam about the earth, to roam both the earth and the sky. Thus he took his pleasure. 262. Having brought the horse under his control, in no time Krishna tied him up with ropes and kept him within the cowherd village for the entertainment of riding. And for pulling carts, he kept the bull. He also kept the bull. Commentary. Krishna took Arishta, whom he had placed before Sri Gopishwar, and kept him in the cow pasture for pulling carts. Text 263. One day, Krishna was living in the town of Nandishwar. One day, while Krishna was living in the town of Nandishwar, a Krura came on Kamsa's order to take Krishna from Braja to Madhupuri. What? Commentary. The next pastime, described in text 263 through 344, is one of extreme pathos, karuna ras, both in Goloka and in the earthly Gokula. Nandishwar Hill is the site of Nanda Maharaja's residence. The Vrindavan pastimes thus far related by Sri Sarup happened mostly in the forests, but on this occasion, Krishna was at home in Nandagram. Now, I hope all of you will forgive me, but I'm going to stop here a little bit early tonight because I have a very important phone call with Sundararup about my computer, which I was having problems with today, and I needed help with. So he only had this time, so I'm going to stop here early. I hope you'll all forgive me. But before we go, we should have some reflections and comments and discussion. Hare Krishna.
That's from Shruti Revankar. Shmita Anavekar. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
From Gopakanya Devidasi, Jai Maharaj, and
Jai
all
Gopakanya Devidasi.
dear lovers of Sri Brhad Bhagavatam.
Haribo, Haribo.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, we've got some comments. I'm going to jump to the... That's from Gopakanya Devidasi. Jai Maharaj, indeed. How important is this hearing of the pastimes of Lord Krishna and his associations and pure devotees, from conditioned state to liberated state and never-ending amazing.
Yes. And the more pure our hearts are, the more amazing they will become. And someday, by Krishna's mercy, we'll hear them with our spiritual ears. And see, in the spiritual world, there is no time. in space. And it's exactly the same as Gokula on the earth. How these things are happening is impossible to understand with mundane reasoning. Only Jiva Goswami says in the Tattva Sandarbha, only if a person fully accepts the achintya energy of Krishna, fully accepts that he can do anything, will these pastimes have their full effect on the heart. They can't be understood or appreciated by mundane logic and reasoning, because the laws of nature in the spiritual world are different than the material world, completely different. There's no time and space. Therefore, every time something happens, it's like it happened for the first time. You can imagine being in a state that every time you saw your best friend, it was like seeing him for the first time. We can't relate to it here as long as we're in the modes of nature. And how it is that there are forms that appear to be demons in Goloka, where there's not supposed to be any demons, that is inconceivable. I haven't heard any explanation that would satisfy any logician at all. It's just Krishna's pastime energies playing out in order to intensify the moods and make them more and more. So there's unlimited moods and unlimited intensities of unlimited moods. That's Goloka Vrindavan. And it's all meant to increase everyone's love for Krishna and Krishna's love for everyone. That's the answer. No rhyme or reason. They have a saying in America, I don't know if they have it in other places. They say, falling head over heels. When you fall in love head over heels, that means you lose all reason and you don't make sense and you have such feelings about the other person. So it's like that, only unlimitedly. And that makes all of these pastimes possible. We'll hear more about this as the purports go on, as the commentary goes on. Okay.
Bhaktaben said, "Thanks, Maharaj. These words are painting amazing scenes in my mind's eye."
Yes, that is the purpose.
Ananda Murti Devidasi, Gurudev, please accept my humble
Hare
obeisances.
Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Nandamurti.
Thank you so much. I understand Krishna is hero and very strong.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for your cooperation. And I'm going to stop now. It's 8 o'clock. And I have to have a very important phone call. So, yes, Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night. Same time, same place, same topic. The unlimited pastimes of Sri Krishna in Goloka. Hari Krishna. See you tomorrow.